Those who have been, or currently are in the foster care system, what do you wish people knew? Yeah, an absurdly high percentage of youth homelessness is direct from the foster system. I was in foster care, on and off, for some of middle/high school. It was whatever, and always a difficult adjustment to living the life I was living. No rules, everyone doing drugs all of the time, and seemingly I'd get more in line, and fit in with the family, and then get moved back home, or with a family member, and then it would start again. I want people to know how hard early adulthood is with no family though. I turned 17, got kicked out, and was too old to be replaced. I graduated high school living at my boyfriend's parents' house at the time. I had, miraculously, had a teacher who told me I could go to college, and he actually helped me make that happen. I mean, this man showed up to my shitty part-time job on the weekends, and dropped off food/books/gift cards for gas, and helped me fill out a FAFSA, and write my admissions essay. He literally changed my life, because he cared. Now I'm adult, 26, and I'm still amazed I made it. I don't have kids of my own, but I can't wait to get to the point where I can foster kids. I know what it's like, and sometimes being a foster parent isn't only in going to adopt a baby. Sometimes it's I'm gonna make sure this angry 16-year-old knows our options for the future, and I want to be that person for someone. Foster care was fine. It's after you leave it that is hard. Being a new adult with absolutely nobody to guide you. You want to move, you have no help. A crisis comes up, you have nobody to call. Nobody to help you figure out anything about jobs or apartments or bank accounts or insurance. No mom or dad to lend you $20 when your paycheck isn't going to last until next payday. You are sent out on your own, 18 years old, completely alone and no idea how anything works in the world. It's terrifying. Yeah, my foster parents thought it was a good idea to play making me move as a April Fool's joke. Yeah, it wasn't funny. Then they went and got all butthurt when I shut down emotionally for like 3 weeks and didn't say much to them about anything. I think the worst thing they did to me was the time I said I wanted to commit suicide, and they went and got one of their guns and told me to just shoot myself. I was so miserable. I don't think they even understood that they were the reason I was miserable. They basically took in foster kids so they could have domestic servants. I did everything except laundry and cooking. I don't really know how to describe your situation, but I kind of understand. When I hit 15 I moved out due to abuse issues. At 18 my parents stopped talking to me altogether. Didn't learn about money or anything really in life, just had to wing it, and I hate that more than anything. Here I'm almost 30, in a rundown trailer, and no vehicle or credit, and absolutely no idea where to go from here other than I know I have a young boy to take care of better than my parents did. Adulting is fucking impossible sometimes. Kudos to those who naturally get it, but I'm doing the best I can with what I have. Family did foster care for 26 years. I was adopted when I was 5. Some are pure and want to help and maybe expand. Some are in it for $sign. I have a little brother who was adopted from the foster system. Our parents are good people. The most heartbreaking things that I noticed from him in the beginning were a kind of confusion at being treated well by our parents, and also confusion at being treated as just one of us / included as a family member. There are some not so good foster homes out there. I was in foster care in my teens. My experience may be different than others, but I found that if you aren't small and cute you are treated as tainted goods. The social worker doesn't really care about you unless you can make the business money, and if you make them good money they find a way to keep you for as long as possible. They can keep a child until they are 24 quite easily. You are often treated as if you are bad because your parents didn't want you anymore. Upon arriving at a group home I was instantly stripped of all privileges including being able to listen to music, and had to earn the smallest of things back over the next 3 months. It felt like I was being punished. There are also no resources for when you leave the system. Foster families are often low income, using you for the extra income given to take care of you without actually using that money on you. They often don't teach you life skills. Education can easily get messed up because you are moved around as soon as you become an inconvenience to the family. Switching between blocks and periods makes it so that your credits don't count in certain instances. When I left foster care, I found out 1.5 years of my schooling wouldn't count, and it took another 3 months for them to transfer my records. The school told me to drop out and get my JED. In the US, we really need more restrictions and oversight on foster families. Some foster kids move from one abusive family to an even more abusive foster family. They busted one near my work, where the foster family had like 6 kids living in a 2-bedroom house selling dope on the side. They lost a toddler and came to my work asking if I had seen him. Turns out the father, who was supposed to not have contact, came and picked him up. Like, how the fuck did these dumbasses become a foster family? This is a reason why a lot of judges will knowingly allow a child to be returned to the abusive parents. It's seen as a lesser of the two evils. In another interesting case of abusive foster parents, there was recently a national case about a foster family living in the southwestern US using the foster children as free labor on their farm. It was really sad. I got really lucky and was placed with a decent family that didn't treat me like a second-class citizen. I was family. I've seen horror stories of other places where kids starve or are mistreated in their homes. I had the best possible situation and I won't deny that at all. However, it's still so much to deal with as a small child. Remember when you were a kid and you cried when left at the babysitter's? Imagine going to live at the babysitter's house. My mom wasn't a bad mom, she was a troubled woman trying to get away from an abuser. I was in the home for about half a decade, which is an eternity as a small kid. At 10, half my life had been split between 2 moms and I wasn't sure what I was allowed to feel. When I finally went back home, would my real mom be upset that I missed my foster mom? Should I talk about missing my old school? The home I stayed at also had upwards of 4 foster kids at a time, who shuffled in and out. A bunch of kids from ages 3 to 16 who had been through some horrendous stuff. And there I was, a broken kid surrounded by other broken kids. It's a hell of an environment, no matter how good the parents are. I was in a group campus home thing, more like a rehabilitation center for troubled kids. I wasn't super troubled. I just acted out. It's not fun, it's not nice, people aren't friendly. It's their job that they get paid to do. So they don't act like a parent, they watch us, make sure we do things on time, make sure we aren't up to anything bad. Pretty much a schedule of necessities to live, and that's it. But, I'm now 21, living with my fiancé. I own a not nice house that I rent out. I work in shipping/receiving. We have a sweet pit/lab mix and a Australian Shepherd, and we are soon buying a very nice home. I wish I had never been there, but glad I'm where I'm now. Some farmers use foster kids as essentially slave labor. I was one of those kids. I got up at 4:30 a.m. to go round up the cows off the 180 acres and get milking started before I could get ready for school. In summer it was the same, except for herd milking and more chores all day. Couldn't ever go anywhere and smelled like dung all the time, no matter how much I showered. Hated it. Ran away, but social services brought me back. I did learn a good work ethic though. That apparently there's a lot of shit people who just want kids for the money or to abuse them, and pretty much always that a person can be abused. Rare case that people actually do it because they love kids. Don't try to act overly motherly or fatherly. This means something totally different to some of us. Sometimes the people who bore us aren't fit to raise us, and that can really screw with integrating into society. Calling God our Father is a scary thing. Saying you're going to mother me brings on a fear response. Take your time with wounded animals and wounded children. I wish people knew that we had to learn certain coping mechanisms that create barriers we had to in order to survive. We need people in our lives willing to help us remove the barriers, to know that all we want is to feel safe, to feel loved. We know it's fucking hard to do. We need you. Old man here. I aged out of foster care in the 90s after 11 years in care. No one knows what you have been through that got you into foster care. It's insane to me that so much of a child's history is completely unknown to DCS/CPS workers, and thus the foster parents. Not to mention that children in care aren't treated as the most trustworthy children, and so we are rarely trusted when we report abuse or unhealthy conditions in the homes. I work with a lot of DCS probation and social workers now, and sadly not much has changed. The thing is, the information is there to be had, and it would help every child in care, but people don't read it to know it's important enough to pass along to the caregivers. I found out at 30 that not a single one of my foster parents knew about any of the abuse that happened to me to get me into custody, nor did they know why I had moved from one foster home to the next so often. Spoiler alert. It was sexual abuse, and it took me 30 years to get over believing it was all my fault and that I wasn't a monster magnet. Yes, my life was terrifying with my biological family, and I was abused daily, but it was the horrific sexual abuse in foster care, and no one that could have helped me believed me. That fucked me up the most.